Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on our first Wellness Wednesday. And I was online looking at LifePath Systems and found what I thought was just the perfect way to kick this off, and that was by telling you exactly what I read on their website. Very briefly, LifePath provides help for today and hope for tomorrow. And that really touched me. So thank y'all for that. Their mission is to serve individuals and families impacted by behavioral health, intellectual, and developmental challenges, resulting in stronger communities. And that sounds like the absolutely best mission statement that we could address today. So let's go ahead and get started. Our speakers today are Lauren Batskos, hope I got that right, and Christy Goen. So I'm going to let the two of you just unmute. I'll unmute you, or you can unmute yourselves, which might be easier. And this program is all yours. So why don't you just go ahead and get started, and then I'm sure we'll have time for questions and answers or comments after your presentation. So it's all yours, ladies.
All right, well, I guess I'll just start, Christy, if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
Like she said, my name is Lauren. I'm actually the program administrator over our Access and Eligibility Department for our mental health, behavioral health services. So like you mentioned, we do have 3 divisions. We have our BH division, so behavioral health services. So that's going to be mental health, substance abuse. Then we have our early childhood intervention, and then also our IDD department. I'm primarily with the BH department. And so that's looking at how we're getting people in through the front door. I'm the administrator of that, as well as our counseling program. So I don't know, Christy, did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
So I'm Christy. I'm the program administrator for our child and adolescent services. And I've been lucky enough to be at LifePath long enough to work in 2 different divisions. So I worked in early childhood services and also now behavioral health. So my background is as a counselor, starting in early childhood and then moving on to behavioral health, the 5 and above.
And with our mental health services that we have here, as Christy was kind of mentioning, the early childhood is going to be the littles, so 3 and under. And then when they come over into our division, it's going to be 3 and above. So we're serving 3 all the way to end of life type of services. And so for kiddos, that's going to be some of the severe emotional disturbances that we could be looking at. And then for adults, it's going to be more of the severe and persistent mental health needs. We're also serving individuals that have insurance, but then if somebody doesn't have insurance, that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be turned away. We do have some funding resources that we're going to be able to support them with, so that doesn't detract from getting services. Everybody in here at LifePath is in kind of a program. That's the best way I describe it. And so with the program, they have a case manager, which I think that's just like a core to getting services at LifePath, because case managers, depending on if it's kiddos or adults, they're going to be able to help them with things like life skills, coping skills, referrals for different things they may need outside of our agency services. So if they need to hook up with a food pantry, they could definitely support them with that. We have counseling. Not everybody is in counseling because we're directing those at specific types of mental health needs. And so that may be targeting more things like depression, anxiety, PTSD. We do have prescriber services as well. So that's going to be like meeting with a psychiatrist or something like that to be able to get medications for the mental health needs. And we have adjunct services too. So we can help out with employment, with housing. We have different groups for the kiddos, and Christy can jump in on that. There are definitely a lot of resources depending on what program of services the kids are in.
Yeah, so we have parent training, family partner support to help parents kind of navigate any parenting issues or developmental concerns. And then we also have peer services also. So depending on what program you're in child and adolescent services, peer services can be a core service for our higher level of care kiddos. So it just depends on what program you're in and what you qualify, what you qualify as for that particular level of care. That kind of determines what services you would be, what you'd be offered.
One of the things that I'm really excited about right now is, you know, typically when somebody's coming in and getting enrolled in services, they're going to do things like talk about financing, so insurance, or if they need support from the agency, and then doing an intake assessment. So that's going to determine, you know, if they do have a severe and persistent mental illness. But there's so many things going on right now with COVID related stressors, right? So we are experiencing a lot of people calling in saying, you know, I lost my job, I'm worried about housing, my kids are at home all day, every day, and I'm having to manage that. Maybe they're furloughed from work or even lost their employment. So rather than people that may not need ongoing services after those stressors are resolved, or, you know, they get some support in that way, instead of getting them enrolled in those full services, we got a grant. And so we're starting this new program that's specific to COVID related needs. So that's our Texans Recovering Together program. So somebody doing that, they wouldn't necessarily have to go through that whole process, but it's kind of as needed services where they can call in. It can be anonymous, and they can just talk, and they can get some support. They can get referrals for different things in the community if they're needing that. And then they can get check-ins. So it wouldn't be like a structured counseling, but it's not as much on the, I guess, clinical side of counseling, but how can I support you right now in this moment? What do you need, kind of thing. And if you guys are comfortable, I can definitely share my screen with that information. We had a big ad in the Community Impact newspaper that goes out, so it's in there, but I can definitely share my screen. Just give me 1 minute, and I can show you guys that information about our Texans Recovering Together program. Oh no, if I share it correctly, give me 1 second.
Get it?
Where'd it go?
Oh, was it up?
It was there. Yeah, it was there.
It wasn't showing on mine. I apologize. Okay, so there you go. So as you can see, it just has some basic information. This is actually the ad that was in the Community Impact. And so it talks about anxiety, which has been a common report for a lot of people. Sadness, isolation, that's a big one that I've experienced with individuals calling in or needing support, or even just talking with friends and family right now. There's a lot of isolation that's having to happen. And so being able to just get some support during that time, financial burdens, or, you know, just helping finding assistance, because sometimes we don't know where to look for resources. So it has the information for that program on there. It's Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, but it also has a 24-hour after hours number. And so that'll be able to connect you with that. And also there's an email on there too. Did you guys want me, are you comfortable with me stopping sharing? Okay, so that's a new program that we're gonna have for quite a while, because, you know, we've started opening up things, and so maybe people aren't experiencing as much of those immediate stressors as they were having before, but there's gonna be that, you know, lasting kind of stressors of certain things going on. So we will have it for an extended period of time, even though things are opening up, just as a resource. So even if somebody's not wanting to fully get into services to do case management, get medications, then they have this as an option. Although we still do have our normal programming going on as well. Christy.
Let me unmute myself. Go ahead. Christy, do you have anything to add to that? And I think one of the things that I know that y'all are program directors and not within the counseling aspect of this with the patients, but because of your ability to access those people, I know that there are a lot of people that are experiencing all the things that you talked about. I mean, any words of advice or wisdom or just something to make people smile and feel better today about what's happening in our world?
Lauren and I are both counselors by trade. So we both started out in that area. So, but we support people that are doing it every single day. And so I think what I like about this program is that what I've heard about from other states and other locations is that they're kind of doing COVID coaching in some other states. And I kind of like it. I kind of think of it like that, like it's just kind of giving you that that immediate support that you need. So that's the way I kind of look at that. Not necessarily it's not long-term counseling, but it's just kind of that if you need that boost, if you're, if there are questions that you have, or just, maybe you're just, not doing great with being out during the day and the people that you're coming across. And it's just kind of that added support or need. So, and I think everybody's reacting to this differently. Everybody's level of comfort is different, and that's different within families. I mean, we've seen that within the families that we're working with. Everybody's level of comfort may be different in that individual family. And so it's just kind of that additional support for people.
And I think, from my experience, and I'm an art therapist as well. And so my go-to is always being creative, whether that means actually doing something related to art to just, fill up that time, because there's a lot of extra time, I think, for a lot of people, especially if they are at home, but also using creativity to figure out different ways to just cope day to day. And so that may be different for a lot of people, because I know, Monday through Friday, I'm going with the work, I'm coming home, I'm cooking dinner, I'm doing those things, And so as I have to slow down, I think about, okay, what's really going to help me in this moment? How can I reach out for support? So I know even personally in my family, we've been there's this app called House Party. And so it's kind of it's like a Zoom meeting. And so we're all over and we can't necessarily meet, but we're still wanting to connect with one another. So we're doing, weekly house parties with each other, or we're making sure we've had, a couple birthdays since we've been having to isolate. And so we're doing the house parties for that, still singing, really encouraging families to figure out, okay, what's something else that we can do? I've been seeing I've been going to the parks a lot because I enjoy walking and being outside. So many more people are outside, out and about, still maintaining that social distancing and everything, but going fishing or on bike rides, and figuring out different things. I know that I was checking out the CDC website, and they have different activities too on there, suggestions of things that you can do. So really figuring out, in my opinion, what are some of the biggest areas I'm struggling with? So am I struggling with isolation? Okay, what are some creative ways that I can connect with other people? Whether that is like the house party example, or joining a group chat, or still maintaining social distancing, but going out to a park and having a picnic with some friends or something like that. And so figuring out different creative ways to, I guess, resolve some of those issues. If it's stress, reaching out to support from somebody, like with our Texans Recovering Together program, but also what are other ways, like meditation, doing art, different things like that. And the same for kiddos, they're going to have to figure out that it's stressful for kids right now too. And so some of the best things I've seen, they are doing like drive-by celebrations for kids for graduation, where they have posters and everything. And I think that's just so cool. So using that creative bone, I think, and, Pinterest is great for that too, because you can just Google like COVID activities and it'll pull up so many things.
You almost get too many of them these days. Mm-hmm.
So that's probably what my recommendation would be on that.
Christy, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think Lauren's right. I mean, we've seen so many people that have just gotten really creative. I am not an art therapist. I'm a little jealous there, but I I think so many people have gotten so creative. We've heard of people doing like for birthday celebrations, they may not be together, but they can stay apart and do balloon releases, and lots of people doing picnics. Lots of people just being outside together and trying to be safe. So, you know, people are just getting creative out there, and, you know, we're kind of doing the same thing. We're kind of trying to figure it out as we go along. How can we still stay connected and stay safe? So that's our challenge, and just like everybody else's.
That is a big difference that we've had more recently at LifePath. Is before we weren't doing Zoom services or really any telephone services.
Right.
And so now we've transitioned to where we are offering those telehealth services and can do that so that we can maintain that connection with those individuals that are in services or even trying to come into services. We're setting up where that initial intake part can be done over Zoom. So there isn't any of that fear about having, oh, I have to go into a building to get this service and I'm at risk.
Right.
Right. Well, I have unmuted everyone, sort of, working on that still. So if you have any questions, any comments, anything that you'd like to share, or anything you'd like to ask the lady?
I have a couple questions. Texas ranks last out of 50 states and DC in mental health benefits. Do you see it getting any better?
Oh, that's a good question. That's I don't know. I'm hopeful that it would be. For kids, it's, you know, and Lauren can talk about this too, as far as the kids that we see that come through the door. For kids, we have a lot of kiddos that are on Medicaid. And so the adult population is different. Their qualifications and things like that are different. But for kiddos, a lot of them are on Medicaid. And so we are able to provide different kinds of services for children. So I'll let Lauren talk to the adult population more.
You know, I'm the kind of in the same boat as Christy. I like to think that, and you know, speaking for LifePath in general, I feel like we offer a lot of services, but one of the biggest barriers that I hear from a lot of people is the financial piece. Yes. And then also, I just didn't know that this was an option. And so there's the lack of awareness of resources. And, you know, just from my experience, Collin County, we're lacking too, I think. But, you know, if somebody has insight into resources or they're given those resources like LifePath, we really try, I think, to reduce as many barriers as possible. We mentioned earlier, we have funding that's available for individuals, even if they don't have insurance. And so that's going to be based off of income in terms of the household and household size. And so we definitely try to reduce as many barriers so that we can help people because there are a lack of resources, and it's expensive to go to the doctor if you don't have insurance. And so that doesn't help the individual.
Do you get involved with NAMI? Do you work together and partner? George and I were very involved with NAMI Collin County until it went away and got absorbed by NAMI Dallas. So do you work with NAMI at all?
I personally don't. Christy can answer after me, but I know that we do refer a lot of our individuals, especially in the access and eligibility department, to that as a resource, not just for the individual that may have the mental health need, but also their families, and try to connect it, because that's a big push, is creating this team of support for somebody that has a need, because that's proven to have better success in recovery. I know that we're some of the departments and some individuals, depending on it, are going to do the NAMI walk, the virtual walk, coming up at the end of the month. So we're definitely doing that. But from my experience, it's a lot of referrals for meetings and different resources through NAMI.
Right. The same thing here. We refer definitely like parents and stuff for groups and things like that. I believe our outreach team probably has more direct contact with them than we do, but it is a referral source that we use for sure.
Very good. You mentioned that you have, I kind of lost my train of thought, financial assistance for those people who do not have insurance. And I'm assuming you're talking adults as well as children.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Good. That's good to know. Good to be able to share that, especially right now. So, and we are more than happy to do that on your behalf. Any other questions, comments?
I do. I have one.
Observation? Linda.
The Texas Recovering Together. Could you put that screen back up?
Yeah.
And so anybody can call into that just for.
Yep.
So is that a fee-based? I'm sorry, I was trying to write stuff down when you were talking, and I don't think I fully paid attention.
Oh, you're totally fine. No, so it's not going to be fee-based, and it's a grant that we got, so it won't be fee-based. And then it can be anyone, yes. The kind of kicker on that, I suppose, is if somebody calls in and they're from a different county, they may be diverted to a different one because they do have these crisis counseling programs throughout the state. They're getting them set up. And so they may be diverted to the appropriate county, but if somebody is calling county, then yeah, it'll be a resource for them.
And can any age call into this, or is it adults only, or is it for like teens or anybody that's having a issue?
And Christy, you may know, as far as I'm aware, it can be anyone.
It can be, as far as we know. Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
It can be anyone.
It can be anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's great information because we have situation here where too much time together. So you don't have the loneliness, but we have the annoying.
Cabin fever.
So yeah, too close, and there's just needing an outlet that's not in the house.
Right.
So, okay. That's great to know. And I can share this information. Is this on your website or?
Let me actually take a look because I'm not sure if it's been updated on our website just yet. So give me 1 second.
Because if all of us who are on here share it on our Facebook pages or whatever, it could help.
Yes. And you went
more
in the community impact flyer. If you're living in Collin County, that community impact flyer. So it was in there. And I believe I saw it on our Facebook page also.
Yeah, I don't think we get community impact
In Allen?
in Allen.
Okay.
We used to, but it lasted about a year, I think.
Okay.
But it's on their Facebook or their website?
It's on our, I know I saw it on our Facebook page.
Linda, I'll post it on our Facebook group.
I emailed it to Karen also.
And you can just share it from there if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is great information, especially when somebody feels like I just need somebody for a few minutes to talk to and they don't want to go through the whole, or don't feel at this point they need a whole like enrollment program and.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, not everybody has that need, but sometimes you just need somebody else to talk to. Like I said, everybody's level of comfort is different, and even in the home, it can be different for everybody. Everybody's got their own opinions or views, and so sometimes it's just good to talk to an outside source, a neutral party, and just just kind of release that and get that out.
Right. So are these licensed counselors that answer this phone or?
So it depends. So what will happen is if one of them is not available, somebody else that is another staff person will answer, and then they'll connect, just depending on who answers the phone, because it's kind of the line. And so we do have a licensed clinician, but then we also have some either interns or students that are in their program. So they have experience in the field working in mental health. So it'll either be a licensed clinician or somebody that's working on their license.
Okay. And I guess if they talk to the person on the phone and decide that they need a little more assistance, then they would refer to your other programs that you have.
Yes, and so it'll go either way. So if we're talking with somebody in the open access department for somebody that may be trying to enroll in services, and we kind of narrow it down, okay, this isn't, COVID stuff, or there's stressors that are adding up because of COVID, then we may refer to this program as an alternative, or they'll refer to ours as well.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Mhm.
That's great to know.
It doesn't look like it's been updated on our website yet, but what I'll do is I'll go ahead and share this other piece with you. And so it has our crisis information on there, but then also the COVID mental health hotline just for the state. So it's not personalized to Collin County, but it is for the state. And then our crisis hotline information too, which is that 24-hour hotline.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Lauren, could you email that to me?
I definitely can.
Thank you.
There's no way for me to print or capture this screen, is there, off of Zoom?
Oh, I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm a Zoom newbie. I don't know what it can do.
We all are.
Yeah, we're all learning out of necessity, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know how to do it.
Whether we
Will
want
you
to
send
or
that to
not.
everybody so I can share with my staff too?
And I sent the information that Lauren's been talking about. I sent that to Karen yesterday too, with the flyer on it as well.
And I
Yeah,
suppose
thank
since
you.
this is recorded on Facebook, we
Yes.
can access it again
Mhm.
afterwards. So the screens will be there. Okay.
And we're also recording it so we can upload it to YouTube. And as soon as it finishes the process, I can share that with you as well.
Very good.
Well, if no one else has any other comments, I only have one or two. Number one is to thank you both for taking the time to explain to us exactly what y'all are doing on an ongoing basis, but in particular right now during the COVID-19 crisis. I'm just hoping that, I'm not sure, along with everyone else on this call and in the entire United States, is that we're handling things correctly, that we can see the end of this somewhere before the end of this year, and that we can all get back to what we would like to think was a normal way of living and playing and doing business. So with that, if there are no other comments, then we will end our recording and our meeting and look forward to seeing y'all again at our next Wellness Wednesday next month. So thank you all very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Y'all have a
Thank
good day.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
All right.
much.